A few years later, only a few years later, can you have next slide, please? We have this transformation, plus please take in consideration no oil whatsoever. GDP growth rate in nominal terms, 4.6 times in 8 or 9 years' time. I mean, there is no other country in the recent years without oil who have achieved this type of transformation, this type of growth. And it's all done due to smart regulation, due to debottlenecking private sector, due to just taking out bureaucracy and taking out corruption. Public sector, tax revenues increased to become 23.5%. As you remember, it was 7% only a few years ago. In nominal terms, it's 12 times increase. And by the way, that's on the back of decreasing tax rates and decreasing number of taxes from 21 down to 6. It's just eradicating corruption and increasing administration of the tax department of the public sector. According to Doing Business, we did the serious jump from 112th place, we went to number 9. Thank you. Actually, a year later, we were number 8, but it's still good. Georgia was the only developing country in the top 10. And the only country in the history of this report which made such a significant jump from below 100 to in the top 10. By the way, Nigeria is still below 100. It stayed around 130s. And according to Transparency International, Georgia jumped amongst top 50 countries of being least corrupt country. Top 50, if it's not the best, not top 10, but it's still good. But Transparency International does a couple of surveys every year. One of the surveys is asking population of 185 countries, one and the same question. Have you or member of your family paid a bribe in past 12 months? That's the question. In Georgia, only 4% said yes to that question in 2010. Imagine that. EU average was 5%. United States was 5%. The only countries that did better than Georgia were Scandinavian countries, were Canada, South Korea, Singapore. That's pretty much it. Belgium, Netherlands. Like, we were amongst top 15 countries according to Transparency International. So that type of transformation just took place very, very recently, and it's not some kind of case study which is based on some different incomes and outcomes. It's just a real-time story. It's a real transformation that took place in Georgia just very recently. And by the way, this transformation right now is used by many countries in the developing world, in Africa, in Eastern Europe, in post-Soviet Union countries, to kickstart the economies, to get a new economic growth for their countries. So how it's done? I'm guessing that this is the question everybody is asking. It's done by tough choices. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I'm standing here. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's one of the tough transformations that can take place, and it stands on the 3 pillars. It's a business climate, it's a citizen services, and it's public finances. That's how I want to show it. I mean, there are many different ways of giving the story of transformation. How I mostly give the story is a 3 pillars that it stands. It's a quantum leap in business climate, it's a quantum leap in citizen services, it's a quantum leap in public finance. And in every single case, we made lots of experiments. We adopted lots of innovations. By the way, we made so many mistakes you cannot imagine. Just don't make those mistakes again. Those mistakes have already been done. I'll be talking about success stories, but behind every success story, there are 5 or 6 mistakes before we actually ended up with the right combination, with the right formula. So to start with the business climate, I'll tell you a couple of things. We realized that we cannot afford all the rules and regulations. We cannot afford it financially, we cannot afford it from human capacity. I mean, we were continuation of post-Soviet Union, we were continuation of this very corrupt society. So, I mean, if bureaucrats were giving opportunity, most likely they would use it. So we decided to look at everything from a private sector point of view. Whatever is not very, very important for health or for security, we can get rid of. So we actually got rid of agencies, and we actually got rid of lots of government licenses and permits. By the way, we decreased the number of permits and licenses by 85%. Just to give you one example, to give you a flavor. Every year, if you were a car owner in Georgia, you had to go to a special police department for a technical checkup. I don't know if you have it or not in Nigeria, but in Georgia, you had to go every year to the technical checkup. Of course, because population was so poor, 80% of the cars were not technically super correct. But everybody would still get this special paper saying that everything is fine. Don't ask me how, you know how. One blink of an eye, couple of dollars in your pocket, and that's it. That's all. So, I mean, we decided there is no point of having that kind of public service. There is no point of providing society with this type of service. So we just got rid of it. Guess what? Nothing happened. No accidents increased in the country, nothing happened. On the opposite, everybody was very happy. So getting rid of loads of rules and regulations is very important. And by the way, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, you were talking about zero-based budget. Exactly, we adopted zero-based budget, but plus we asked agencies, so what is your objectives? When we will give you this money, what will you deliver? What good will you create for public? And guess what? Almost 50% of agencies didn't have any clue in case of Georgia.